Remember when Kia was a brand that people would turn their noses up to? A brand that you'd only go for if you weren't overly struck on Fords or Vauxhalls or even badge snobbery. Well, those days are long gone, and Kia is now a high quality brand in its own right. The old Sportage was a novel take on the Diddy SUV market, but the new one, that's good enough to rival Ford and even some of its German rivals. When most people hear you say Kia, they look a little crestfallen. That's because they associate it with boxy chunks of drab nastiness designed by a man with a ruler and a heart full of good intentions. But that's not the case with the Sportage. It's a modern, curvaceous design that wouldn't look out of place alongside more prestigious offerings. It takes Kia's tiger nose detail and makes it a focal point at the front of the car, integrating these headlamps to create this curved, gaping mouth. Unlike Peugeots of old, having a big mouth hasn't worked against it. Instead, it all looks a little bit stylish. The rear of the car is a little more sober, though it has been done well. But we can't help but feel there's a little bit of form over function going on, especially with this small rear window, which does limit visibility. Inside, the cabin hasn't been given the same design treatment as the exterior. That's not to say it's a bad thing. It's still a marked improvement on the Sportage of old. You still get this lofty king of the road driving position, which means you can lord it over the road ahead of you, one of the major attractions for pseudo 4x4. And although the controls and dials are logically placed, it all just feels a little bit bland. Entry-level models aside, the dash materials do feel pretty good to prod, poke and hold, and they have a durable feel to them too, so they should stand the test of time. The Sportage has been built with the family in mind, so you've got acres of space for all sorts of knickknacks. You've got a glove box down here, which is massive. You've got some more storage under your arm, a couple of good cup holders and areas for all your everyday knickknacks. All that practicality from the front has been carried through to the rear too. You get these nice big storage bins for sweets and 2 cup holders in the centre armrest. You also get a decent sized boot, and the rear seats fold 60-40 to increase the boot space even further. It's time to drop the truth bomb. The Kia Sportage is nowhere near as fun to drive as the box-shaped Skoda Yeti, but it will compete with many of its rivals in the ride and handling stakes. It is available with 4-wheel drive, but think of it more as a safety aid rather than an off-roader, as it's normally powered through the front wheels and then sends power to the rear when it's necessary. Of the 4 engines on offer, we'd go for the 2-litre diesel. Performance is pretty similar to the other 3, but power and torque figures make for a smoother drive. It'll also be good for towing. If you're of the view that Kia is just a budget brand that makes cheap and nasty cars, then it's time for a rethink. The Sportage has a lot going for it. It's got better engines, more space, more practicality, and it's more desirable. And with 7 years warranty, it's got ultimate peace of mind.